I met him in PG Hospital. Matter of fact, I died.
Just his mercy and grace. Literally, I could have been dead. I should have been dead. I don't deserve him. There's nothing that I could do to deserve heaven. I don't deserve it.
I'm communicating to the world that, hey, this God that I'm talking about, he's real. I want you to get closer to him.
In the quiet moments of life, when we least expect it, God's presence can be felt. Not always in the grand or the dramatic, but in the smallest, most intimate details. For some, this presence is a lifelong awareness. For others, a powerful moment of transformation. Some encounter God through deep crisis, but all through grace. And all consider that they found the same truth, that God is near and he's calling us to himself. The gospel tells us that Jesus Christ, his life, death, and resurrection, we are forgiven, reconciled to God, and invited into a new life. In these stories, we see how lives are changed by his love and grace, and how we are invited to experience that same transformation. I pray that in these stories, you too will find an invitation to discover God's presence in your own life and to hear his call to follow Jesus.
I almost got to a point in my walk where I was just going to abandon God. I felt that, I had already been baptized, I had already been walking with the Lord for a little bit. And I got to a point where I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. This God that I'm serving, I don't even think I know him. I was getting very frustrated. It was almost like, in order to make God happy, I have to, read my Bible, as soon as I wake up, then I got to pray, then I got to worship. And it's just like, when I go outside, make sure I evangelize to someone. It was just like this checklist of things. And what I didn't know that's just religion. Literally, that's what religion does. Religion puts you in this box of, if you don't follow these parameters and stay within these confines, then you're doing everything wrong. But God is much bigger than that. And it took me literally just carrying on this internal battle that I just didn't have language to be able to speak to anyone about externally, to the point where when I finally came to him about it, everything just fell off. And that's what he was waiting for. He was waiting for me to confess. And through that confession, healing came, breakthrough came, deliverance, it broke out. And I was, completely at a point where I was like, God, I'm not gonna be against you, but it's like, it's no point in me being for you. This isn't fun. It's like every morning that I get up, I feel like I'm a disappointment. I feel like I'm not doing anything that he wants me to. And when I actually began to have this raw conversation where I told God, I don't think this is cool anymore, it was like I felt at peace. It was like I knew that he was listening through the response that he gave me. When I felt the atmosphere change, I began to kind of just feel like a resolve.
Throwing rocks, I think, at a car or something like that. And I was in the hood, and I was running away from somebody. And I just ran to church. I remember just sitting, I fell in the back, and I just remember looking at the cross. And I just felt this overwhelming peace and love coming from that cross. Every time I saw a cross, I felt peace. And to this day, I don't know, even that's something that keeps me at peace. When I just literally, a visual, just looking at the cross, it just peace comes from the cross to me. It's just supernatural, you know what I mean?
I met Christ in 1980. I met him in the hospital. I met him in PG Hospital. Matter of fact, I died in the hospital. They called cold blue on me. I was unconscious for 3 days. And when I came out in the hospital, they wanted to operate on me. They told me if I didn't make it, get the surgery, I wouldn't make it in 6 months, and I wouldn't let them perform the surgery. I told them, I said, I'm going to just leave it in the hands of the Lord. And I prayed in that hospital. I told the Lord, He brought me out to the hospital, I'm going to work with Him. And I've been working for Him ever since.
According to studies conducted by Christian scholars, about 1 in 3 people who have had near-death experiences knew or did not know of Jesus Christ beforehand.
And I was just like, why do I feel at ease now that I've said everything? Shouldn't I feel conflicted? But it was just like, no, you should feel changed. And that's literally what happened. And as I, just began to build and build, I always tell everyone this. I had a definition of who God was, but He gave me a new description of who He is. So once I got that, everything shifted. Like I began to see God in ways that I hadn't before. So it was just like, when I woke up, it's just like, I may not have gotten to my word, I may not have prayed, but I woke up and I was filled with laughter. Like there's been mornings I woke up and I just start laughing. I'm just like, God, like we really up. It's another day. We get to just, like, we're gonna do our thing today. Like I told God, like, man, let's go get gas together. We're gonna go get something to eat. And then after that, we're gonna read. And we're just gonna, just let the day have its own type of flow. And that's how my relationship has literally just began to build all over again. So it was like I re-met who God was. Like He reintroduced Himself to me. And it felt like a brand new person. It felt like, who is this God that I've been serving? Who is this Father that I've had that I didn't even know, had all these different qualities? I've had moments where I may just joke with God. I may just like, God, like, did you see that? Sometimes it'll just be me saying, you know what, God, like, when I got in this car, I know that, I had plans to do other things, but I'm just glad that we get to do all of this together. So the more I just began to implement Him, think about Him, and invoke Him in everything I was doing, I just could see Him in so many different things.
God literally show up supernaturally. There's times where I just did stuff, went out there, I had no money, and I needed an exact amount, and someone, hey, the Lord just told me to send you 1,000. Like, supernaturally I seen God. But it's like He wants to see our obedience. Because faith is the only thing that pleases God. But if you don't have a situation that requires faith, how could you please God? So those situations that we think, oh, this is tough, it's actually an opportunity to please God. It's a perspective shift. You feel me? So that's how I say.
I would say Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. It's almost like a 2-in-1. It has 2 parts to it, where it talks about be not conformed to the ways of this world. So the first section of that is like, not resembling, not reflecting the characteristics of what the world looks like, and then be transformed. So it's just like allowing your mind to be in a place where God can literally like operate on it and then make it something brand new. So it's just like that for me was another area that I experienced in my walk with God.
Being called by God is being led by the Spirit of God. A lot of people use God for occupational hazard, just for the money. But my main objective is working for God for no salary. I've been pastoring for 43 years. I have not taken an offering from the church yet. I believe in reaching out to the homeless and to the prison ministry. I like to do things that other churches are not doing. I like to work with people that can't recompense.
As Jesus went on from there, He saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," He told him, and Matthew got up and followed Him. Matthew 9:9.